Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
It's a beautiful Thursday evening in the city of Lagos. Thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Evaluation. Thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform. I am Tunde Odeyemi, your anchorman. And in today's episode, we shall be taking a look at the importance of corporate governance evaluation. And I have with me in the studio my guest, Mr. Uche Uweche. Mr. Uche Uweche holds a law degree from the University of Science and Technology in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and was called to bar in 1991. He also holds a master's degree in law from University of Lagos and practiced extensively for over 5 years in the leading commercial law firm, Judge Etomi and Partners, both in Port Harcourt and in Lagos. In 1997, he joined the defunct Gulf Bank as Deputy Manager, Legal, and rose to Divisional Head, Management Services with oversight responsibilities for legal, human resources, security, corporate affairs, and administration. Uche is an alumnus of Lagos Business School, an associate of Chartered Institute of Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, and a certified corporate governance practitioner. He is a member of the Law Reform Committee of ICSAN, a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, International Bar Association. He has extensive training and facilitation experience, both locally and internationally. Mr. Uweche is currently the company secretary and legal director of GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Nigerian PLC, GSK Nigeria, and has legal oversight over GSK. He is happily married with children and is interested in supporting youth empowerment programs, career coaching, and motivational speaking. Mr. Uweche, you are welcome to the Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adeyemi. It's my pleasure.
And we thank you for finding time to join us on the program today.
It's amazing, the work you guys are doing here. Kudos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today we are discussing the importance of corporate governance evaluation. And I would like to start by asking you, what is really the meaning of corporate governance evaluation, and what is the difference between corporate governance evaluation and board evaluation?
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I can call you Tunde.
You can, yes.
Thank you very much, Tunde. I think it makes it more a chat, a fireside chat, more cordial.
All right.
The key word is evaluation, I think. And evaluation talks about assessment. It talks about checking to see whether it is being done well. It talks about ensuring that there are some degree of measurement. So when you talk of corporate governance evaluation, you are looking at checking how an organization complies with all the laws, the rules, the regulations, including its own internal policies and ways of working. And then, of course, board evaluation itself, as the name shows, focuses on how the board is composed, its effectiveness, and how it's carrying out its responsibility. We can say that board evaluation is indeed a subset of corporate governance evaluation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Then what are the key areas and policies of an organization that are considered during corporate governance evaluation?
Yes, as I said, if you look at it from the perspective of the organization's license to operate, and let me pause here to say, when we talk of organization, often people think about companies, But that is a restrictive approach or interpretation. Indeed, non-governmental organizations, government ministries and parastatals are all involved in that evaluation process. So you want to look at, for example, are they keeping documentation that they're supposed to do? Are they carrying out disclosures they are supposed to do? Are they doing filings? For example, if it's a publicly quoted company, filings need to be done at Stock Exchange, SEC, Financial Reporting Council. Are they doing those things? Are they carrying out disclosures? Do they have an effective website? Are they doing what the law says they should do? So all those aspects need to be examined and looked at, and a decision or assessment taken as to their level of compliance. Okay,
you did mention the fact that organization is enlarged than the company.
Yes.
Now, the question is that what are the key stages involved during corporate governance evaluation, and the key items to be considered at each stage?
Okay.
The stages involved and the items to be considered at each stage.
Yes, of course. I think you have to look at what we'll call the normal circumstances and the abnormal. Abnormal since 2020 when COVID came in. But essentially, it's both fact-finding, information gathering, and assessment. So number one, there need to be interviews. There need to be fact gathering. Sometimes we deploy questionnaires or surveys to do so, and then there will be feedback from key stakeholders, and then there will be assessment of that information. And then a report will be generated saying, normally some organization will do a RAG, which is red, green. RAG is red, amber, and green. Red showing areas that need urgent attention. Amber showing areas that need improvement. Green, thumbs up, but make sure you keep on doing it. So that gives the organization the opportunity to understand where they need to sit up and the things they need to continue to do.
So the RAG elements will be in the final report. And can you say the final report is the last stage of corporate governance evaluation?
I will not say so, because that will sort of turn it into do it and file it away. No. The last stage will be the implementation. So that the next time we come for the evaluation or the evaluation is carried out, you must start from the last one to see if the corrective and preventive actions, CAPA, has been closed, and to see that they are building from that place. Because the idea is to consistently build an organization that is compliant.
Okay, who are the internal and the external stakeholders that are involved in obtaining, imputes during corporate governance evaluation now?
Yes, of course. If you want to do a corporate governance evaluation effectively, as you rightly identified today, there must be internal and external stakeholder. Internal will involve the directors. The
directors of the
company. It will involve the chairman. So, the directors, then the chairman. It will involve the executive directors, including the managing director. The employees, especially those that are in key positions, company secretary, corporate affairs reporting, finance director. Those are internal key stakeholders, even employees. Then externally, you'll be looking at the regulators, sometimes suppliers, distributors, and even organizations that have some bearing. If you're a listed company, for example, information can be sourced back from the Center for Business Integrity, which does a top-up assessment as to where and how that company is in compliance.
It's really a comprehensive processes, but I would like to ask, having gone through these processes, what are then the benefits of corporate governance evaluation to the organization? I would like to look at it to the organization, to the shareholders, the lenders, the board itself, the host community, and the country in general.
I mean, that's a bumper question. But I think as you ask this question, I think of the famous statement by, I think it's Peter Drucker, that says, what cannot be measured cannot be improved. It cannot be managed. In fact, if you go further, I think it was Lord Laskin, a physician, I think, and a mathematician, who said, what cannot be defined cannot be measured. What cannot be measured cannot be assessed. And what cannot be assessed will degrade. So what does that do for us? Look, a lot of people look at it from the perspective that this is quote unquote a witch hunt, but it is not. Indeed, corporate governance evaluation is a tool that every organization will use to evaluate where it is in the continuum of compliance. Where are we today? So it becomes something you can really look up to say, this is an improvement measure. And so that is what we think about it. Then, of course, research has shown that a company that is evaluated shows that it has the courage to say, come and look at me. You know, that kind of thing. We are open, check us. So it engenders a lot of confidence from stakeholders and regulators too. They are very happy. SEC, for example, they want, okay, these are the areas, and you can proactively engage with them to say, we have challenges in this area. Come and help us. And they will do so.
SEC is Security Exchange Commission.
And Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Okay.
So it's not punitive in that sense, but it's rather a culture of building efficiency and best practices. And I think it's something we need to embrace with all our hearts, because it will definitely take companies in Nigeria to a level that will become sought after in terms of what people wanting to invest. The direct effect is that obviously our index will definitely go up.
Oh, that's for the country.
For the country, exactly. Our perception as a good place to do business, because you can just click and you could see the performance of companies, their evaluation, where they are. We may not be perfect, but we are making progress, and I think that would be a good thing.
Oh, you actually touched all points. Looking at these benefits,
yes.
Looking at these benefits, and in view of the current situation, in view of the COVID-related restrictions and physical distancing requirements, do you think that corporate governance evaluation can be effectively done online?
That is a very burning question, you know. But the question,
that's the new normal.
The new normal,
exactly.
Yes. Today, I think the question we should ask ourselves is, do we wait for perfection or do we make progress?
Okay.
If you look at corporate governance evaluation by itself, of course, the face-to-face angle or practice has a lot of advantages.
Good.
Like I'm talking to you now. I can
face-to-face.
Face-to-face. I can check your body language.
Okay.
You know, when you are not telling some truth, you might not be able to look at me face-to-face.
Sure.
You know, then we are here. We can see each other. We are not interrupted by technology.
Okay.
And then there's no make-believe. I'm sure you saw the video about don't believe all you see on social media.
Of
course. Because people can make it up. They can put a background that is not real. So, okay. But the reality is that we are in the new normal.
Sure.
And we think that I think as an individual and as a member of ICSAN, that it's better we use virtual to move on. It may not be as good as face-to-face, but the necessity of the hour means that we can also deploy it to achieve more or less our purpose.
Okay. That means you can use face-to-face as well as use the virtual.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, you are a member of ICSAN, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria.
That's correct.
Now, has ICSAN or any regulatory authorities deployed a template that can be used for the conduct of corporate governance evaluation to enable companies to prepare in advance for such exercise?
I'm not in a position to speak for others, but I can speak for ICSAN.
Okay,
because I'm very familiar with it.
All right.
We are the foremost professional corporate governance institute, and we do not take that very lightly. So from the time the code, even before the code was enacted, the 2018 code, and thereafter, we have put in place mechanisms. We have developed templates. And let me say that ICSAN is not just interested in throughout the template. We look at the entire value chain. We're training people to understand. We even want those templates to go to companies, to give them opportunity to do self-assessment before third parties or independent assessors or consultants come in. So we have them there. Then we are running train the trainer programs. And in fact, I'm happy to tell you that those who attended the training were even given the template as part of the toolkit, okay, so that they can also train other people. Because one fundamental issue is that until we have sufficient a number of subject matter experts, this practice will be suffering some drawbacks. So ICSAN is not just interested in running it, but in creating the enabling environment to ensure that it becomes part and parcel of our corporate culture.
Oh.
So that's what we're doing.
Wonderful. I'm going to talk about the independent assessor later, but we need to quickly go on a very short break. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we continue with Mr. Uche Uweche.
Thank you very much.
Please don't go away.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
You are welcome back. Thanks for joining us on Corporate Governance Platform. We are still discussing the importance of corporate governance evaluation. And I still have with me in the studio Mr. Uche Uweche. Mr. Uche, I would like to talk about some of the challenges militating against, corporate governance evaluation. What do you think now are the challenges militating against effective corporate governance evaluation, and how can these challenges be addressed?
Thank you, Tunde. I think, first of all, ignorance is not bliss. So there's a lot of ignorance, and sometimes it's born out of prejudice, fears. People always think that when they come to check us, there's an ulterior motive. So ignorance is there. It's also a novel principle in the sense that it's something that only became institutionalized from 2018. And even then, organizations were given 2 years to try to implement it. So it's novel, there's a lot of ignorance, and I think there's also depth or scarcity of subject matter experts.
Okay.
So when you don't have enough qualified personnel to address those issues, then you're going to have people saying, okay, maybe we shouldn't do it or so. And what are we doing? By we mean ICSAN. I've alluded to it earlier. I just want to say once again that ICSAN understand the breadth of the problem. Therefore, the solutions we're putting out there is multifaceted to address each of them. Ignorance, we're running trainings, publications to deal with that. Tools to use for it, we have developed the toolkit, we developed the templates, and we're engaging. The fact that we're having this conversation, Dr. Demi, is also a reflection of the fact that we want knowledge to increase.
That's true.
And then we are training the trainers. We also have asked organizations to invite us to speak to their boards, to their management, so that we can share with them the benefits of embarking on a periodic basis on corporate governance evaluation.
Oh, that's nice. I would like us to look at some of the provisions of the Corporate Governance Code 2018. The code provides that the board should ensure that an annual corporate governance evaluation is carried out and that the evaluation be externally facilitated by an independent and external consultant at least once in 3 years. Why do you think there is need for external facilitation instead of a simple internal evaluation by the company through their governance practice?
Yeah, I think, thanks for that question. If you look at it from the point of view of why do you carry out evaluations? The essence of evaluation is to identify gaps and take proactive measures to fill them, close them. Okay. Now, you agree with me that if you, as an organization, continues to do that evaluation year after year, it may well become a tick box. It may just be something you do. Have you done it? Yes. No value. So they said an external eye, a third eye, brings a degree of objectivity And I think the framers of the code were well aware of this. And they feel that at least once in 3 years, bring an external party. Because even the legal principles that you should not be a judge in your own matter is also very important. So that external person, professionals for that matter, and fortunately for us in ICSAN, we are blessed with well-rounded corporate governance professionals. They will come with their objectivity. They are not there to witch hunt. They are there to look at what you are doing. And there are quick wins they can advise you to do immediately. They get there, you don't have a charter, you have to put a charter in place. Okay. There are filings that have not been done. Then they will call out without endangering the career of the employees. Wow. What needs to be done? Wow. And I think that is our focus. How can we improve that environment? And that is why the essence of bringing third parties, the once in a 3 years rule is very important.
I want us to look at the other aspect of the code again that says, that requires the summary of the report, that is the summary of the evaluation report should be included in the corporate company's annual report and on the investors portal of the company. What do you think is the rationale behind these requirements?
Yes, today I think that's principle 15 sub 2. What that does for you is that, look, you can't wink in the dark. If you do all that evaluation and hide it in your shelf, or hide it under a bushel, as you know, it will not add value. Okay. So in promoting the principle of disclosure and transparency, it becomes important for the code to spell out what should be done. Again, by requiring that you include it in your annual report as well as in your investors portal, I think it drives compliance as well. Because if you don't do it, investors and stakeholders will ask questions. And mind you, compliance with this code is mandatory. And the last thing you want, even from that angle, is for the regulators to come after you. So I think it's a provision that enables us proactively to know what to do with those reports. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to ask this question. Do you think that positive corporate governance evaluation may motivate investors, either local or foreign investors, to invest in a company so positively assessed? Or is it only for good financial performance that can motivate potential investors?
That's a very good question. And I think we should situate it from the Enron experience. Okay. Enron was having fantastic financial report. It was one of the fastest growing stock. But underlying that head of gold was a feet of clay. They were running the company in a non-compliant manner. As of today, I can boldly say that corporate governance practices, best practices, has become a leading indicator as to whether local or international investors will invest in an organization. So it's a value add.
Irrespective of the financial performance.
Yes, they can even, if you're upfront to say, look, we're having a loss because we have to make this provisioning, because this is our principle that once receivable is more than 180 days, we'll make full provision. Investors will trust you more because they feel that if you can tell how it is, then when the days are good, you will tell as well. And I think it's happening. You could see all over the world that the companies that have sound corporate governance principles are more likely to succeed over time. Remember, it is not it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Okay, I would like you to answer this question very briefly.
Yes, please.
From your knowledge of other countries, like India, where corporate governance evaluation has been carried out for some years, what lessons can Nigeria learn on its impact on the corporate governance regime of the nation?
India clearly gives us a very good template, in the sense that if you look at its developmental spectrum, we are nearer to them than even the US and the UK. What India has done is to institutionalize corporate governance evaluation. And this was done when they amended their Companies Act in 2013, the 1956 Companies Act, whereby it has now become mandatory, the way you do financial audit, to do secretarial audit. And I can say, and it's out there to prove, that the Indian economy has clearly enjoyed a lot of uplift from the fact that investors are not only looking at financial performance, they're also looking at what is called secretarial audit, where the practices of the entity in question is evaluated and is available to the public. So we have a lot to learn from India. I think it's something we should take a look at, and hopefully when the code is amended, I think we need to institutionalize it. We need to be clear and specific about what we want to do with it in Nigeria.
Oh, that's nice. This is a yes or no question. Can ICSAN render corporate governance evaluation to organizations?
It's a resounding yes.
Thank you very much.
Today is a resounding yes.
On that note, we'd like to wrap up on today's episode of Corporate Governance Evaluation. It's been interesting and, of course, educative talking to Mr. Uche Uwechie. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for the privilege.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is where we wrap up and draw the curtain on today's episode. Please join us again next week, same station, same time. I remain your anchorman, Tunde Odeyemi. Bye for now.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities. Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.